Yeah, his father was Guy Waterman, and Johnny cut his teeth at the Schwangunks in the 60s. He's very short, grew his hair long. He dropped a lot of acid, and I think that he might have literally blown his mind at some point. But he was really good in the mountains. He was a good technical climber. He's like more than good. He was great, and he was bold. But he was an iconoclast, and he ran a campaign on the University of Alaska Fairbanks campus for president of the U.S. But Johnny just went off the deep end. And I think that climb on Hunter didn't help things. I think that it just showed him that what he could do, and what he could do by himself without reliance on friends or teammates, and that just sent him to the edge of the diving board, I think.
Yeah.
Well, it is more akin to the infinite spur than the Cassin on Denali because of its long horizontal length. And I have been to the base of it, and I've certainly overflown it many times and looked for climbers on it. But there's seldom climbers on it because it's very committing. It's not the kind of route that people are apt to go tackle because it involves so much time to get across this long horizontal double corniced ridge. And again, the rock over there is not necessarily solid. There is some granite on Hunter, but not much. It's friable rock. And it's just a huge time commitment. Just like a stretched out infinite spur. It doesn't have so much altitude. It's no higher than 14,000 feet. But it's a dangerous route. If you were on that route and you got a snowstorm, you would be in a hell of a pickle because the route already has this double cornicing on it, and then laden with snow that kind of place becomes really tricky. And these are the kind of routes that were done in the 1970s throughout Alaska and the Yukon territories and the St. Elias Range, for instance, the Alaska ranges. But they're not really done anymore just because they're dangerous. They're just straight out dangerous, the double cornicing. There's an objective danger there that most climbers, wisely, they go look for things that are more aesthetic and direct, like the Cassin. My namesake, Johnny Waterman, no relation. Well, actually, we may have been third cousins, I've since figured out. Did the first ascent of that route, as you know, solo, with fixed ropes, however, but no one would begrudge him using the fixed ropes, and spent, 143 days, crossing the mountain. Just an enormous amount of time, just dropping acid along the way, asking his bush pilot, Cliff Hudson, to drop off some medication because he had crabs, for instance, and he was being driven crazy by itching. You literally had to be crazy to attempt something like that alone. And Johnny did have mental health issues, and ultimately would die attempting another solo, which was probably a deliberate suicide on the east buttress of Denali. I think it blew everyone's minds because of the amount of time that he was alone out there. It's one thing today to go and solo the Cassin quickly, but to do what Johnny did was just it's unfathomable. You know, it's like skiing to the South Pole or something. Not even, it was a longer commitment than that. You know, there's a good chance that he would not come back from that climb. Because it's one thing if you're out for a week and you face objective dangers, but if you're out for multiple months and you're facing objective dangers repeatedly, fixing ropes and recrossing and crossing again, and crevasses and storms, running out of food. I mean, it all happened to him. You know, how amazing would it have been if he were able to publish a coherent narrative about what he actually experienced up there. I mean, he wrote about it, but he only touched the tip of the iceberg in terms of what he had to do up there.